These are both wired Xbox controllers, but this one is wireless on PC, so it's $20 more despite the fact that both of these controllers basically have identical spec sheets. Flydigi made an Xbox controller, while GameSir made a wireless PC controller with wired Xbox compatibility, making it a bad purchase for console players, who are not even treated like second-class citizens at this point. You're like fourth or some shit like that. Get fucked. But Flydigi did something similar. They made the Vader 5 Pro, a controller that, while advertised for Switch, is best used on PC. The problem is the Vader 5 Pro is good on PC. It has more features than the G7, it's the same price, and caters to the same audience of gamers. At face value, you're better off with the 5S on Xbox because it's so similar, and on PC, you're better off with the Vader 5 Pro. It looks like it took some time, but Flydigi has finally cornered GameSir.
Alright, let's everybody just calm the fuck down.
I have full reviews for 2 of the 3 controllers here. You'll have to subscribe if you want that last one. But today is quick and simple. We're going to be doing a comparison between the G7 Pro and its rivals on Xbox and PC, the Vader 5S and Vader 5 Pro. After discussing features, reliability, and pricing, I'll hand out some recommendations and everyone will go home happy. Good? Good. Like if you like it, sub if you love it. Let's do this shit. The Vader 5S versus the G7 Pro is like that goddamn Spider-Man meme. The Vader 5S is essentially a slightly cheaper G7 Pro with adjustable tension Hall effect sticks. Further testing done after my review by John Punch revealed that the 5S also has a very similar response time. On Xbox settings, of course. This was with the G7 Pro, also at 250Hz wired. The 5S's Hall effect sticks perform more than adequate in this comparison, so the adjustable tension truly is an advantage here. But it is worth mentioning the G7 Pro with its JS16 TMR sticks do have a higher resolution and much better linearity. So the sticks are a battle of better performance versus more customization, a battle that has an easy winner in my eyes.
Okay, but even if it is how it's supposed to look, that definitely ain't how it's supposed to sound.
Aside from the sticks, the Vader 5S and G7 Pro have the same adjustable clicky trigger setup, so that's a draw. They also have the same floaty dogshit double-clicking D-pads, so there's not much to say there. However, while the controllers share clicky ABXY buttons, the G7s are optical switches. They're also far shorter, far more stable, and have a slightly faster response time overall. So this is an area I can give to the G7. Continuing this game of anything you can do, I can do better, we have 4 additional buttons, which are, again, shared between the controllers. 2 buttons up front, 2 buttons underneath, but the 5S has a sneaky extra set of buttons underneath ABXY. And despite their positioning making them basically useless, I will give the Vader 5S this category because it has more buttons technically. I know the G7's front buttons are clicky, whereas the 5S's front buttons are not, but the placement on the G7's front buttons make them much easier to double-click when trying to use the bumpers. The 5S is more comfortable in my opinion, so overall I'm going to give this to the 5S. Each has on-the-fly features via a function button, but they also have a PC and Xbox software, or not. They're quite buggy. Both the Vader 5S and G7 Pro software are identical on Xbox, but on PC, the G7 Pro offers things like pulling rate adjustments, gyro, which is useless because it's ass, and advanced mapping options like mouse and keyboard inputs on the extra buttons. Flydigi is adding more features to their PC app, but I've been testing them, and they are buggy as all hell. More bugs than Florida in July, so I'm going to give this one to the G7 Pro, mostly because of its PC features. However, those additional PC features may not be enough to convince PC players. As Vkuda, the honest tech reviewer, I will be honest with you. The G7 Pro just gets its shit smashed on PC by the Vader 5 Pro.
Nigga, bullshit. Wait. I said it with an A. Fuck!
Both controllers are $80, which is the first problem, because again, the Vader 5 Pro has very similar adjustable tension Hall effect sticks to the Vader 5S. Real quick, the 5S and 5 Pro are quite similar, but have some minor feature differences. The 5 Pro features wireless connectivity, 2 additional rear paddles, no ratcheting for the thumbsticks, no headphone jack, and software customization on par with the G7 Pro, including things like advanced button mapping and gyro that actually works. So we're off to a flying digi start. What the fuck was that? While the Vader 5S was on par with the G7's response time, the Vader 5 Pro beats it, at least wirelessly, even though the G7 is slightly faster wired. And while we're on the topic of categories the G7 does well in, we have to turn our attention to the thumbsticks, where, yet again, these low-profile TMR sticks beat the hell out of the Vader 5 Pro's Hall Effect sticks, at least in terms of raw performance. That, and the fact that these sticks don't ratchet into place like the Vader 5S, means that these sticks lose their tension over time on higher settings. So the battle is much closer here, but it's probably going to go to the G7 Pro because its sticks don't lose tension while you're gaming.
You calm the fuck down! There's a misinput!
Now, when it comes to the Vader 5 Pro and the G7 Pro faceplate, all three of these controllers have very similar faceplates. They all have floaty D-pads that are dog shit, but the G7 Pro, again, does have those optical switches that do perform a decent bit better. So if you could give this category to any of these, it would probably be that. On to our final segment for the Vader 5 versus the G7. Prepare for this shit. The G7 has half of the additional buttons that the Vader 5 Pro does, with the 5 Pro featuring 2 removable rear paddles, as well as the 2 rear buttons, 2 front buttons, and 2 additional faceplate buttons seen on the 5S. The extra buttons have a humongous advantage on the G7 Pro though. They don't fucking die. There have been a concerning number of reliability reports between these three controllers. They are, in fact, the three Stooges. The paddles on the Vader 5 Pro, or at least the buttons underneath those paddles, break quite often, and this has been dug into countless times on Reddit, but what's not so known is that the G7 Pro has triggers that die all the time. All three of them have software that is equally dogshit. Oh, wait. No. That's my bad. No, the G7 has basic software bugs. The Vader 5 Pro has quite a few reports on Amazon of the controller becoming bricked after a firmware update in that software. So yeah, the software provides 1 or 2 issues for Flydigi controllers that GameSir doesn't necessarily have to deal with. And I have to mention it again because this is a reliability section and some people skip through the fucking video, but the Vader 5S has thumbstick ratcheting to keep the tension consistent wherever you put it, while the Vader 5 Pro does not, so its tension loosens over time under certain tension settings. All of this pushes the reliability meter in the direction of the G7 Pro, if I'm going to be honest. For the PC user, it's the Vader 5 Pro versus the G7 Pro. Do you want broken paddles and a bricked controller, or do you want broken triggers? On Xbox, however, the Vader 5S is quite new, so I suppose we'll have to see. But the Vader 5S does not have rear paddles, so its rear paddles can't break, and its sticks ratchet into place, so its thumbsticks don't lose tension over time. However, we'll spin back to reliability here in a minute because it plays a big part in the conclusion. For now, it gets worse for the G7 Pro, because the biggest problem with the G7 Pro is not the Flydigi invaders. It is the fact that the G7 Pro is severely unfocused, and I've talked about this in my full review, but Xbox players pay for wireless that they can't use. They also pay for polling rate settings and gyro settings that they can't use, and they pay an extra $20 for all of that, when they're only getting a wired Xbox Pro controller, and wired Xbox Pro controllers are never more than a maximum of $50 to $60, and that's pushing it. So Xbox players do get fogged. But PC players are in the same boat. They simply don't get enough, especially when you compare the G7 to the Vader 5 Pro, which has a lot more to offer for the same money. And yes, it is slightly more problematic. But there are also a lot of people out there who've made posts talking about they've bought the controller, it's worked for them, and it's the best purchase they've ever made. So I suppose at the end of the day, it is up to you. All right, listen. I forgot to record this segment. You guys wanted more videos, and I am not doing my hair. So here we go. The G7 can be wireless on Xbox. For an additional $20, you could pay $100 for the Wireless on Xbox Wuchang edition, which is hideous. Or you could pay $130 for the Zenless Zone Zero edition. Is that what it's called? Yeah, and that's $130. So you can pay $40 more than the Vader 5S, and you could have a wireless Vader 5S that is ugly on Xbox. Or you could pay $130 for an Elite Series 2 Core alternative. I have a Zenless Zone Zero in the mail right now, but that's really the only comparison that there is. Do you want to pay more for the wireless version on Xbox or not? Now, addressing this guy's comment, he is 100% fucking right. I am comparing the worst version of the G7 Pro to other controllers, but that is the one everyone has bought, and that is the controller everyone is talking about. There are two versions of the G7 Pro that are 8K that aren't even usable on Xbox, and the two wireless versions are 100 and 130 bucks, which is still a good deal, but that's not what everyone's buying. I hope I've addressed everyone's concerns. We now return to the conclusion of the original video. With reliability, response time features, and everything in between taken into account, all of these controllers have their goddamn problems. All of them give complaints, some of them identical, like shitty software. But overall, each of them are incredible for the money. It's just that two of them are so dialed in for their purpose that they make the unfocused G7 Pro look lost. My official recommendation is that for reliability on both PC and Xbox, the G7 Pro is probably going to be the best bet. And I only say that now because the Vader 5S is new and it could turn out to be a complete disaster. And I don't want to say buy the Vader 5S because it might be better. No, I know the G7 Pro has trigger issues, but the Vader 5S could have like 3 or 4 different problems. So I'll update the pinned comment when I have more information. And against the Vader 5 Pro, it's very clear cut. It's not a very reliable device. But if your concern lies literally anywhere aside from reliability, price to performance, rear buttons, customizable thumbsticks, software settings. The Vader 5 Pro has some insane software settings. If your concerns are anywhere but reliability, the 5S for Xbox and the 5 Pro for PC. The G7, again, is great if you want to play wired on Xbox and wireless on PC like a fucking maniac. There will be links to all 3 of these controllers in the description. Yes, some of them will be affiliates. That's how you guys can support me right now until I make like a Patreon or something. So let me know how you guys enjoyed this quick fire, quick shooter comparison style thing. I haven't done a comparison video in years. I've been stuck in a loop of old reviews and new reviews and reviews. But I'm recording this the day before my birthday. And I'm hoping to get this video out on my birthday. I didn't want to make another 20-minute video because I already have a 20-minute review of one of the controllers, a 14-minute review of another one, and then I'm going to have another 20-minute review of the Vader 5 fucking Pro inevitably. So let me know if the product was satisfactory. If it wasn't, let me know in the comments what I could do better. Fucking love you guys. Take it easy. Peace out and other things.